What's up guys, it's Grant, also known as Gashewski. It's been a little bit, but I'm back. I have a tutorial for you guys today. It's essentially the effect that you see in 2K, Madden, any of the sports games where there's a circle under someone. I had a couple of people asking how I did it. Everything I'm gonna do today is gonna be mainly in After Effects. I'm gonna run you through some tracking. I'm gonna work in a 3D space a little bit. Don't worry, it's not too difficult. Let's get straight into it. This is the clip that we have. It's essentially just me walking. The important part here is that it's a slash angle. So that means it's shooting top down from a high part in the stands down to me. It's important that we see the floor. There's not too many distractions in the background that's gonna have to be annoying to rotoscope. Ideally, you're shooting this with the effect in mind ahead of time so that you're shooting properly and making sure that there's not too many things that are gonna make this difficult. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna drop this clip into the timeline. Now the timeline is exactly the length of the clip, so we're good to go, and it just loops every time we play it. Next, what we're gonna do is go to the tracking section. If you don't have the tracking section, you go to Window, Tracker. Now we have this set up in the side here. We're gonna go Track Motion. Now you have a track point on the screen, and you can navigate with the H. It'll bring up the hand tool, and you'll be able to move the thing around. And if you want to go back to be able to move this track point, you hit V, and then we're gonna make it a little bit bigger. What I did before when I did this video is I did the Kith logo. It's not the greatest track point ever, but it's gonna do. And if you're doing this on a player, you're gonna find something on their jersey that kind of stays stationary, central to their body. So like this logo doesn't move too much around my body. You wouldn't want to do this credential right here because it's gonna be swinging around and it's not gonna like stay central to me. Let's track this Kith icon. Ideally, like film in 4K, give it as much information as you can. If you make this track box too big, it's gonna take forever to analyze as well. So we're gonna go ahead and analyze forward. As you can see, it's doing a pretty good job. And then if it does mess up, I'm gonna stop it. But it does look like it's doing a pretty good job so far. So we started like in the middle of the clip, don't worry about that. We're gonna go back to that point. Let's go back to the beginning now before we have any track information. So we're gonna go here, then we're gonna go analyze backwards. So we analyze forwards, now we're gonna analyze backwards. And once again, we're gonna make sure it doesn't mess up. Okay. Perfect. Sometimes if there's something that crosses in the way, that's when it gets a little bit more difficult. So that's why, very important, making sure that you can kind of have one point that you have in the entire scene that we can track. So now we have all this information. What do we do with the information? We're gonna make a new null. So we're gonna right click in this little area down here, hit new null object. So once you put a new null in there, there's no information tied with it yet. But what we're gonna do is move that tracking information that we just got and move it onto the null. Go back to the original me clip. We already have the track still selected, so motion source is me. That's the name of the clip. Tracker is tracker 1, that's the one that we did. And we're gonna go edit target. We're gonna make sure it's null. We're gonna hit apply. Apply to dimensions X and Y. So now, if you see this red box right here, that is moving with the track point that we had. So now that we have this null, we can apply anything that we want to it. What that means is we're gonna be able to do the circle, we're gonna be able to do the name, and we're also gonna be able to do a little badge that I made. And that badge is something that you'd see typically in 2K, Madden, whatever, when you have like a special ability. So we're gonna go up to the top here, do the ellipse tool, and if you don't see the ellipse tool, just long press on it, hit the ellipse tool. I'm going to make sure I'm not selected on the layer, drag with shift and make a circle. Make sure that you're making a circle that is not weird shaped. We don't want to do that yet. So just make it a circle that's equal on all sides. So once we have this circle on the screen, we're gonna go to layer. We're gonna go to transform, center anchor point in layer content. So what that's gonna do is make the anchor point, which essentially determines how things are gonna transform. We're gonna make that anchor point right in the middle of the circle. And this is where you can change the color if you want. Make sure this is selected. I'm gonna change it to red. You can do whatever color you want, just so it can stand out a little bit. Maybe like a darker red. Now that we have the anchor point in the middle, we're gonna duplicate it by hitting Command D. And then we're gonna go ahead and hit S on this new layer and scale it down. This is kind of up to you on the sizing, but now that we put the anchor point in the middle, it's gonna scale down perfectly inside, making sure that the edges are very equal. We're gonna go to track matte and we're gonna hit shape layer 2, and we're gonna hit the invert button. So now we have a circle that's just the outside, it's just essentially a ring. I think I might even make the inside circle a little bit bigger so it's like more of a thin line. And you can also do this, like say if you brought like a PNG in that's already like a ring, you could do that too. Whatever's easiest. We're gonna go ahead and put this into a composition. And what a composition does is it just kind of merges everything together, but it's still accessible. So if you double click on the pre-comp, you can see everything inside there still. So now we got this all in one. Let's go ahead and rename this ring. So now this is able to scale and we're good to go. We're gonna go ahead and make this a 3D object. And if you didn't see the 3D object, then you're gonna go to toggle switches and nodes. I don't know why they're in the separate pages, but oh no, not again. There is a sufficient amount of space, bro. I have a lot of space on my computer. My screen recording just said I ran out of space on my Mac, so I'm just gonna restart my computer. The part of making YouTube tutorials that no one ever tells you about, the classic turn it on and turn it back off, always goated. All right, let's get back in the tutorial. Now it's in 3D space. Whoa, that's crazy. Let's go like in the middle. We're gonna rotate it on this axis and then this axis. Kind of just match the perspective a little bit. We can scale it down. So that's definitely not right. Let's do like something like this. Something like that. Maybe scale it down even more. Now, this is where the magic happens. You're gonna go ahead and use this little pick whip tool. It's gonna parent whatever you do, put it on. So now we're gonna put it on the null. So now it's like tracking with the middle of my body. Pretty good, pretty good. But this is where you kind of have to fine tune it a little bit too. So obviously as we get closer to the camera, it's gonna be getting bigger because it's getting closer to the camera. 69%. And we're gonna have to hit Shift and P to also bring up the position. So the position's fine here, so we're gonna make a keyframe right there. Position is not fine here. We're gonna scale it down a bit and then maybe move it up. And don't worry about the stuff coming over the frame yet. We'll fix that in a bit. So as it's coming closer to the camera, we're having it get bigger. Once again, I don't know if this is the proper way to do it, but it's working. It worked for my post. Just get it done. It's social, don't worry about it. So now we got a good ring happening. So it's just following me the entire time. It's not perfect. I would definitely spend more time on it if I were actually doing this. But you can also like lower the opacity of this so it's like a little bit more see-through, like when it goes over some lines. I'm not sure if that's exactly how 2K does it, but it definitely would help. No, OBS, bro. Oh my Lord. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and put some text. Okay, so we're gonna hit Command T, Kashewski, and I used Arial bold, capital first letter, and lowercase rest of the word. So as you can see here, there might be like a little bit of a drop shadow on it. It also has like a bar on it, so you can also animate something like that. That'd be pretty cool. So we're gonna do a drop shadow and then just drop it on that, or you can drop it on the layer. We're gonna do maybe just a little bit of a softness. So that's good to go. Let's parent this to the ring. So now that we parented it to the ring, you can see it's basically tracking with the ring. And this is where I think it's a little bit sketch. So I apologize for that, but kind of looked at this H right here. And if it overlapped, I just moved it down a little bit. And I'm setting keyframes for all this. Once again, I'm sorry for the jankness here, but as you can see, it's overlapping again. So I'm just gonna move it down. Kind of adjusting it manually by eye. So that part's good to go. We got the text. Now we're gonna do the badge. And I made a custom badge. So this is the badge that I kind of based my thing off of. So like they have all these different ones. And like I said, I just kind of wanted to make one that looks like a camera shooter, but you can also use these if you want, or make one specific to the sport. I think that really adds a nice touch to whatever you're doing. So for me, I went to this website called Flat Icon Tamron.com, and it has a whole bunch of these icons, which is pretty cool. So essentially what I did is I went into Photoshop and I just kind of combined all these different assets together. So I took the original badge logo, painted out the middle. You can do that with content aware fill. And then I put a camera and the fire emoji. Honestly, it's not super great looking at it alone, but I just want to overemphasize that a lot of these things for social, it's so quick hitting and it's so far away and so fast that most people don't really want to look at the details too much. So you get the main idea across, you're good to go. So once that is made, or you have a PNG image of a badge that you already have, you're gonna go ahead and drop it into After Effects. So the badge is over here. I'm gonna drop it into the sequence. I'm gonna scale it down. I put it after my name. In the game, it looks like it also goes before if you want, so that's cool. Just gonna put it there. That's how I did it in the post I did. Go ahead and parent that to Gashewski, and let's see how well it tracks. Yeah, so it tracks perfectly to the Gashewski, which is awesome. The badge is now tracked and we're good to go. So there's one final thing to sell the effect that we need to do. And as you can see, it's still covering up my legs and it's also going through the crowd's head. So we need to rotoscope those things out. And thankfully with After Effects, the Rotoscope 3.0 tool is the best thing ever and we can do that pretty easily. We're gonna duplicate the me layer, which is just the source footage of me walking. I'm gonna drop this on top of everything. I'm gonna go ahead and double click it down here. I'm gonna look at the bottom half of my legs and I'm gonna use the rotoscope tool, which you can find up here. Make a rough outline of my body. All right, we're gonna go around, like I said, rough. Now my body is over top of the circle. We're gonna rotoscope one more thing and we should be good to go. So once again, I'm gonna duplicate the footage, drop it in the timeline one more time. That's gonna let us rotoscope another part of it. So this part, we're gonna start from this section where the lady is standing up because she gets in my shot. Little outline around her. Okay, I did a decent job, but we can also go in here and adjust it. So if you hit Alt or Option on Mac, and you can negate some stuff. You can also adjust the brush sides by holding Command and dragging down on the cursor. So we got that guy. We're gonna include this guy. This is probably the most annoying part of the entire process / most tedious part, but it definitely helps sell the effect. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. Like I said, not everything in this tutorial is perfect. For you, you might want to spend a little bit more time rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is a very important thing. And if you spend time with it, learn the tool, kind of see how it sees things, then it'll help you in the long run. But for me, this is good. So we have all these layers right here. What we're gonna do is turn on motion blur for the ring for sure. Text, turn on motion blur for the badge. So what that does is in After Effects, it kind of adds like a little bit of motion blur. There's not too much probably motion that's gonna actually matter, but it'll definitely make things look a little smoother. The final touch that we'll add to this, if you want, I kind of did this in mine. You don't have to, but I decided to duplicate the inside circle here and make it a black color. So I made it a black and then I turned it down. Just do like a 15%. It really just added this darker area in the middle. And I've seen that sometimes in some of the 2K games or some of the Madden games where it kind of has like a darkened circle in the middle of the player selector tool. It's just a little touch. I don't think you need to do it. Once again, if you really want to add any fine-tune adjustments to the circle itself, you can do that in here. And everything that you save in here is gonna move over to the composition before it. So there you have it, guys. That's how you do the player selector tool you'd see in 2K or Madden. I think it came out pretty cool. It performed really well, almost got 1 million views. So if you guys have any sports videos that you wanna put this on, I think it'd look really cool. Please leave a thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, whatever. Appreciate y'all. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.